This is a slide. You have a trouble. Oh! Hola amigos and amigas. Today is tip day, and we are looking at tips for how to outsmart the word formation task on the CAE Use of English section. Okay, it's tip time, so let's get started. Now, first of all, if you aren't sure of what to expect for the word formation task, check out my video on a breakdown of the CAE Use of English section. Here, I talk specifically about the format of each part. Okay, testers, now let's get information. And also note, the first 3 tips of today are connected. So, let's start with tip 1. Know as many English prefixes and suffixes as you can. What's the prefix? Well, a prefix is a part of a word that attaches to the beginning of the root word. For example, unimaginable. The prefix here is un. Suffixes are the same, except the part of the word is attached to the end. For the same example, unimaginable, we have the suffix able. For both of these examples, the root word is the same, it's imagine. So fit as many of these little word parts in your head as possible. You don't have a word bank for the word formation task on the CAE, so these prefixes and suffixes will act as your word bank. So this is the first step, and I've attached a link in the description for a website to get you started learning these prefixes and suffixes. Tip 2. Now that you have all these little parts in your head, you need to know their meanings. Because yes, they do have meanings. For example, tion is a noun ending, chun. And then we have the prefix dis, which is a negative prefix. So tip 2 is real short. Now that you know all your prefixes and suffixes, also know their meaning. Tip 3. Putting both of tips 1 and 2 together. When you read the sentences they give you, and you're looking for what goes in that blank, ask yourself this question. What part of speech do I need? Do I need an adjective, an adverb, a noun, a verb? So then you look mentally at your word bank of prefixes and suffixes. Then you find the ones that match the part of speech you need. For example, if I need an adjective, then I say, okay, I've got if, I've got able, I've got full. That's the first part. And then I pick out the one I need for that specific root word on the test. So you're using your knowledge to narrow down your options. And also note, you may have to look at the context of the previous sentence or the following sentence to figure out what goes in that blank, to figure out the right word form. Okay, now tip 4, a little more specific. Study adverbs a lot. My students are always weak on adverbs, but the CAE tests these just as much as adjectives, nouns, and verbs. Reminder, adverbs describe... what? Yeah, adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Now, we know that ly is the common adverb ending. However, the CAE is not going to give you a word formation task where the answer is quickly, or mostly, or greatly. This is just too easy. Many of the adverbs that they test use the ly, but they attach it to a more complex adjective form. For example, they may give you the root word strategy, and the adverb form is strategically. That's great. Great, just great. It's the ly form. But it's difficult to know this if you don't realize that the adjective form of strategy is strategic, and then you add the ly. Therefore, in order to do well with adverbs, first you really need to know your adjective forms. Here are some more examples. You could have the root word consider, and the adjective form is considerable, and then you add on that ly to form considerably. Another one, increase. The adjective form is increasing, participle adjective, and then the adverb form is increasingly. It has become increasingly difficult to afford rent in New York City. They love this one. Finally, we have the root word system. Now the adjective form is systematic and the adverb is systematically. Also, don't forget the spelling counts. And most people kind of suck at spelling adverbs, native speakers included. But as you're studying, make a list of those adverbs you struggle with to spell correctly. And tip 5, remember to consider negative words as answers too. Never forget negatives. This is another detail my students often struggle with, and it makes sense. You have so much information you're trying to organize and sort out. But sometimes the CAE tries to trick you by testing you on a word that's not as difficult to form as the others. For example, overall, the number of moths in Britain have declined. And unfortunately, extinction now seems blank. And your root word is avoid. Some students might be in a rush and choose the word avoidable. But that's not paying attention to the context of the sentence. All you have to do is add un to the adjective form avoidable to make unavoidable. Now it makes sense. Okay, so there's your word formation tips for the day. Now I highly suggest you go over to flojo.co.uk to practice more and more of these use of English tasks, and specifically word formation. Do it again and again and again and again and again and again. Okay, CAE testers, thanks for watching. So check back later for some more tip videos on the use of English, and I'll see you next time.